I want you to hear these words not as a hope, but as a truth. It's already done. The blessing, the provision, the miracle you have been longing for, God has already released it. The overflow of your life is not coming, it has already arrived in the unseen. Too often, we look at the world and see lack. We see bills, obstacles, delays, and scarcity, but these outer circumstances are not the measure of reality. Reality is formed in the mind. Reality is shaped by your belief, and when you believe that your desire is already fulfilled, the world bends to that conviction. Your role is simple but powerful. Assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Live in the consciousness of abundance. Speak as though it is done. Walk as though the doors have already opened. When you do this, the universe cannot resist. It flows naturally because God has already poured out the overflow meant for you. Some of you may ask, how do I know it's really done? You feel it in your heart. You feel the ease, the peace, the gratitude for what you have not yet seen. That feeling is proof. That knowing is the invisible hand of God moving in your life. Understand this, your faith is not in hope, it is in knowing. The knowing that the invisible already precedes the visible, and as you live from that place of certainty, your life begins to mirror that truth. Doors open, opportunities arrive, people, circumstances, and resources come effortlessly because you are aligned with the creative power of God already at work. Do not wait. Do not plead. Do not struggle. Receive. Accept that your overflow is here, that it has already been released. Move as though it is done. Speak as though it is done, and live as though it is done. The world may not yet reflect it, but in your consciousness, the reality is complete. And remember this final truth. Every blessing that comes to you is an expression of love, a demonstration of abundance, a proof that God's overflowing generosity is not limited. You are not behind. You are not lacking. You are already fully supplied. The overflow is yours. Simply receive it. So today, declare it in your heart. It's already done. God has already released my overflow. I live in abundance and I walk in victory. Whatever you desire has already been given to you in the unseen. This is not a concept to debate or a thought to simply entertain. It is a reality that exists beyond the senses. Too often, people measure their dreams and desires by what they see around them. The empty bank accounts, the unsolved problems, the lack of opportunity. Yet the world you observe is only a reflection of your inner state. Your outer circumstances are not the measure of what is truly yours. They are merely a mirror of what you have assumed within. To live in the fullness of your desire, you must first recognize that it exists fully and completely in the unseen realm of consciousness. Your belief in its reality is the key that unlocks its manifestation. The unseen is not inert or distant, it is alive, responsive, and waiting for your acknowledgement. When you assume that your desire is already fulfilled, when you imagine it as real, and feel the reality of it within yourself, the invisible begins to shape itself into the visible. The creative power of the universe is not in your efforts, your struggles, or your striving. It is in the act of inner knowing. The moment you accept the reality of your desire in your consciousness, the forces of life align to bring it into expression. Many people fail to understand this because they look for evidence in the physical world before they believe. They say, "I will believe when I see it," not realizing that in doing so, they invert the natural law. The law works in reverse. You must first see it in your mind, first feel it in your heart, first assume it in your imagination, and then the world will follow. Your imagination is the workshop of reality. It is where all things are created before they take form in the external world. When you dwell in the feeling of your desire as already fulfilled, you are engaging with the unseen in the most potent way possible. You are signaling to life that this is your reality, and the unseen responds accordingly. This principle applies to every aspect of your life: wealth, relationships, health, purpose, and joy. It does not matter how impossible something may appear from the outside. In the unseen, nothing is impossible. The moment you fully accept and dwell in the assumption of your desire, you step into alignment with the creative current of life. The unseen begins to move, circumstances change, doors open, and opportunities appear, all in perfect timing. Your belief is not a wish or a hope, it is a knowing. When you assume the reality of your desire, when you live as though it is already yours, you are not pretending. You are recognizing the truth that has always been present. The unseen has already given it to you. Your consciousness simply needs to acknowledge and embrace it. The more real you make it in your mind, the more inevitable it becomes in your life. Your inner assumption is the invisible hand that draws the unseen into form, and this is the secret to living a life of fulfillment, abundance, and extraordinary success. God's abundance is not something that will arrive someday in the distant future. It is not delayed or contingent upon your struggle, your effort, or your deservingness. The truth is far more empowering. The overflow of life, the fullness of blessings you have been longing for, has already been released. It exists now in the invisible realm, flowing toward you like a river that cannot be stopped. The mistake many make is looking outward, expecting to see it in the physical world before acknowledging it in their consciousness. They wait for evidence, for the perfect circumstances, for the right time, and in doing so, they remain disconnected from the very reality that is seeking to express itself through them. The overflow is not something you have to chase. It is not something that depends on luck, connections, or timing. It is already yours, released by the infinite source of life. And your responsibility is to recognize it and live from that awareness. The unseen realm is abundant beyond measure, and it operates according to a law far greater than the limitations of the world you see. God's abundance is flowing constantly, like sunlight across the earth. It does not pause, it does not wait, and it does not discriminate. Your recognition of it is the key that opens the channel for it to manifest tangibly in your life. Living from this awareness requires a shift in consciousness. It requires that you move from a mindset of lack to a mindset of full expectation. You must see yourself already in possession of what you desire, not as a future event, but as a present reality. Feel the reality of the overflow in your hearts. Speak as if it has already arrived. Carry yourself as one who is already living in the fullness of life. The world responds to your inner state, not the other way around. By dwelling in the consciousness of the abundance that has already been released, you align yourself with the very current of life that is flowing toward you. Many overlook the subtle power of acknowledgement. Simply knowing that God's abundance is not delayed, that it has already been poured into your life, is enough to activate its manifestation. Gratitude becomes the bridge between the invisible and the visible. When you give thanks for what is already yours, even before it appears in form, you send a signal that your awareness has caught up with reality. This gratitude opens the channels, allowing the overflow to move freely, effortlessly, and powerfully into your experience. Do not be distracted by appearances. Circumstances may seem contrary, and the world may whisper that you are lacking, but these outer conditions are only reflections of perception, not truth. The truth is that abundance has been released. The truth is that the overflow is already flowing to you, and your only task is to recognize it and accept it fully. Live each moment from that place of inner knowing. Speak, act, and feel as one who is already in possession of every blessing, and watch as life bends to mirror the reality you have embraced. Living from the end is the secret to manifesting every desire you have. It is not about hoping, wishing, or striving for what you want. It is about dwelling in the consciousness of the end result, the fulfillment of your desire, as if it has already come to pass. Many people live their lives looking outward, reacting to circumstances and trying to force outcomes through effort. They look at what is not present and allow lack to dictate their emotions, words, and actions. But the truth is that reality responds not to what you see in the physical world, but to the state you occupy within. Your inner consciousness is the fertile soil from which all experiences grow. And by living from the end, you plant the seeds of your desire in the only place where they can truly take root, the mind and heart of man. To live from the end means to embody the feeling of having already received your blessing. It is to speak with the authority of one who is already in possession of the desired outcome. It is to move through life as though your dreams are not a future possibility but a present reality. When you act, speak, and think as if your desire has already manifested, you are sending a powerful signal to the universe that this is your reality. The unseen forces, which are infinitely responsive to consciousness, begin to align circumstances, people, and opportunities to match your inner state. The outer world cannot resist the energy of certainty expressed in the inner realm. Living from the end also requires detachment from the how and the when. It requires faith that the manifestation will appear in perfect timing and in perfect form. You do not need to control every detail or force the outcome through effort, because once you have assumed the state of the fulfilled desire, the creative power of life begins to work on your behalf. Your imagination is the workshop where reality is first crafted. By rehearsing and dwelling in the end, you impress upon your consciousness the exact feeling, emotion, and conviction of having what you want. And that impression begins to take form in the world around you. Many fail because they live in contradiction. They desire one thing while thinking, feeling, and speaking from the opposite. They act as if their desire is absent, complaining about lack, and worrying about the future. This creates resistance and delays manifestation. To truly live from the end, you must align all aspects of your being with the state of fulfillment. Every thought, every word, every action must be consistent with the reality you wish to experience. This alignment creates a magnetic force that draws your desire into your life effortlessly. Living from the end is not about denial or pretending. It is about recognizing a higher truth. Your blessing is already real in the invisible realm. When you consistently dwell in that reality, your outer world becomes the faithful reflection of your inner state. Circumstances shift, doors open, and people appear to serve the vision you have embraced. Act, feel, and speak as if it is done, and the world will respond, revealing to you that your imagination is the only true power in creation. Faith is the unseen power behind every manifestation. It is not a vague hope or a wishful thought. It is the unshakable knowing that what you desire is already real in the invisible realm. Many confuse faith with hoping or waiting for something to happen, but true faith does not rely on circumstances, time, or effort. Faith is certainty. It is the inner conviction that your desire has already been fulfilled, that it exists now in the world of spirit, and that it will inevitably appear in your life. The moment you accept your desire as complete, the universe begins to align in perfect harmony to bring it into form. Faith is a creative force because it operates in the realm where all things are first made. Nothing begins in the physical world, everything originates in consciousness. When you cultivate faith, you are not wishing for outcomes. You are impressing upon your own mind and upon the universe itself the reality of your desire. This is the invisible act of creation. The outer world is always a reflection of your inner state. If your faith is weak or uncertain, your reality will echo that doubt. But if your faith is steadfast, unwavering, and full of knowing, the world cannot resist expressing that truth in tangible form. The power of faith lies in its immediacy. You do not need to wait for circumstances to align, for people to act, or for opportunities to appear. The moment you fully believe that your desire is already yours, you have set in motion forces that are beyond the visible, forces that respond only to the certainty of your inner conviction. Faith does not need to explain how things will happen. It does not question the timing or the method. It simply rests in the awareness that the fulfillment of your desire exists, and it allows life to bring it to you in ways you may not yet imagine. Living in faith also requires a suspension of doubt. Doubt is the opposite of faith. It blocks the natural flow of creation. When doubt arises, it is a sign to return to your inner knowing, to reaffirm the reality of your desire in your imagination and in your heart. Faith grows stronger with persistent inner attention. By dwelling on the fulfilled state, feeling it as real, and living as though it has already arrived, you reinforce the creative power within you. This is how dreams move from the invisible to the visible. Faith is not passive. It is dynamic, alive, and deeply practical. It transforms your thinking, your emotions, and your actions to align with the reality of your desire. By living in faith, you walk through life with the assurance that everything you need is already available. You make decisions from a place of certainty rather than lack. You act with confidence, speak with authority, and carry yourself as one who is already in possession of the fulfillment you seek. The universe responds to this certainty. People, circumstances, opportunities, and resources appear as if drawn by an invisible hand. Your desire manifests not because of struggle or effort, but because faith is a creative force that shapes reality itself. The moment you know, truly and without question, that your desire is fulfilled, the world rearranges itself to mirror that inner truth. Faith is the power that makes the invisible visible, the force that turns dreams into reality, and the key that unlocks the overflowing abundance of life. Gratitude is more than a polite acknowledgement or a fleeting feeling. It is a powerful force that multiplies the manifestation of every desire. When you give thanks for what you already have, you are not merely expressing appreciation, you are aligning yourself with the very flow of life, the infinite source of abundance that has already supplied you with everything you need. Gratitude is the language of the fulfilled mind, the recognition that the invisible reality precedes the visible, and that all blessings are already yours whether you see them or not. To live in gratitude is to live in harmony with the natural law of creation. The moment you begin to thank God or the creative source of life for what you desire as if it is already yours, you activate a powerful principle. You are not asking or hoping, you are acknowledging. You are recognizing that the overflow has already been released and that your part is to receive it. This acknowledgement strengthens your inner assumption, deepens your faith, and impresses upon your consciousness the undeniable truth that your desires exist now in the unseen realm. Gratitude, when fully felt, opens the heart and mind to abundance and allows life to respond without resistance. Many people fail to manifest because they focus on the lack, the obstacles, or the distance between themselves and their goals. Their attention is on what is missing, and their energy is consumed by longing. Gratitude reverses this focus. By feeling thankful for what is already fulfilled, you are shifting your consciousness from absence to presence, from doubt to certainty. This shift is not trivial, it is transformative. It changes the vibration of your being, and life responds to vibration. What you feel in your heart is reflected in the world outside you. The more genuinely grateful you are for the invisible reality of your desires, the faster and more perfectly they manifest in the visible world. Gratitude also strengthens your connection to the infinite. When you acknowledge the abundance that already exists within and around you, you are tapping into the limitless supply of life. You are reminding yourself that the universe is not stingy, that God's generosity is not delayed, and that your part is not to struggle, but to recognize and receive. The act of thanking God for your desires before they appear in form is an acknowledgement of their presence in consciousness. It signals to life that you are ready to live in harmony with the abundance that has been released. This practice transforms every moment. When you wake, give thanks. When you see progress, give thanks. When you dream of the future, give thanks. Gratitude turns ordinary experiences into evidence of your fulfilled desires. It multiplies blessings because it affirms their reality in your mind and heart, and reality always responds to that affirmation. The silent power of gratitude is not passive. It is the invisible engine that draws the unseen into form. The more deeply you feel it, the more unstoppable your manifestations become. To live in gratitude is to live in the awareness that all you desire is already yours. Thank God, or the creative source, not for what appears to you, but for what exists invisibly, perfectly, and completely. Let your heart overflow with thanks and watch as life mirrors your inner reality, revealing the fulfillment that was always waiting for you. Detachment and allowing are the final keys to manifesting your desires with effortless grace. Many people struggle because they cling to outcomes, obsess over how things will happen, or fight against what appears to be obstacles in their path. They attempt to control circumstances, timing, and people, believing that their efforts alone can bring about their dreams. Yet the truth is far more profound. The creative power of life responds not to struggle, but to the state of consciousness you occupy. When you release all worry, doubt, and tension, you open yourself to the natural flow of life and allow your desires to manifest without resistance. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean giving up or ignoring your dreams. On the contrary, it means fully knowing that what you desire already exists in the unseen and that it is moving toward you whether you see it or not. It is a conscious decision to focus entirely on the inner reality, to live from the end, and to trust the intelligence of life to arrange the outer circumstances. When you detach from the how, the when, and the where, you free yourself from unnecessary struggle and align with the effortless unfolding of your blessings. Allowing is the natural companion to detachment. To allow is to give permission to the universe to deliver what is already yours. It is to stop resisting, to stop questioning, and to stop trying to force reality into a shape that fits your expectations. By focusing on the inner reality, the reality of your fulfilled desires, you are already aligned with the end result. The outer world cannot help but reflect the inner state. Like water flowing to its natural level, life arranges itself in perfect accordance with your inner assumption. When you allow, you no longer fight life, you move in harmony with it. Struggle, worry, and doubt are like weights that keep your manifestations anchored in delay. They tell life that you do not fully believe in the reality of your desire. They create friction and resistance that slow down the natural expression of abundance. By releasing these burdens, by detaching from the need to control, and by allowing life to work through you rather than against you, you step into the effortless power of creation. Every blessing, every opportunity, every provision flows to you more smoothly when you trust and surrender, when you no longer cling, but simply observe and accept. Living in detachment and allowing requires faith and patience. It requires that you dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire without becoming anxious about appearances. You continue to act, speak, and imagine as if your desire is already realized, but you do so without forcing or struggling. You recognize that your inner reality is the only reality that matters, and that the outer world will conform naturally to it in perfect timing. This state of relaxed expectation is not passive. It is the most active form of creation. It is a powerful acknowledgement that life works for you, that your desires are already done, and that your part is simply to receive. When you release worry, doubt, and struggle, you step into freedom. You step into alignment with the creative forces that govern life. You allow the unseen to shape the seen, and you experience the unfolding of your desires as effortless, joyous, and inevitable. Detachment and allowing are the ultimate expression of faith in action, and they open the door for God's abundance, already released, to flow into your life without obstruction. As we come to the close of this message, remember this truth. Everything you desire has already been fulfilled in the unseen. God's overflow has already been released, and it is flowing toward you even now. Your task is not to chase, struggle, or plead. It is to recognize, assume, and live from the reality of your fulfilled desires. Act, speak, and feel as though it is done, for in your consciousness lies the power that shapes the world. Faith, gratitude, detachment, and the living assumption of your desires are the keys to unlocking this abundance. Do not wait for the outer world to confirm what is already true. See it in your imagination, feel it in your heart, and accept it as a present reality. The universe cannot resist the certainty of your inner knowing. Allow yourself to receive fully, to live freely, and to move with confidence, knowing that every blessing meant for you is already on its way. Thank you for opening your mind and heart to this truth today. May you walk forward in the awareness of your already fulfilled desires, living in peace, abundance, and the overflowing joy that comes from knowing it is already done. And thank you, and may your life be a continuous reflection of the invisible reality you now embrace.